Hey everyone, it's Peter Kerr from Rock Daydream Nation, and I've got back to the channel Aussie rock legend, Angry Anderson. How's it going, mate?
Yeah. Well, it's going as well as possible. And I said that because it's a sad indictment. When you say sad, I mean it's an indictment about when you're at a certain age, etc. I've got several. I spoke to someone only 2 days ago in the morning walking the dog about, and she was telling me about how she just recently lost her father, and we were talking about that, and yeah, it's kind of like you get to a certain stage where you've got to accept loss as a natural course of events because age has got something to do with it. And in recent years, I've had a few medical episodes which were the result of age. I've dealt with them and I'm okay. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's an acknowledgement. Well, you're at this sort of at this time of life. And in the case of a couple of people I know that are succumbing to cancer, you see, that started years ago too. Because these things just start very subtly. And, I recently had surgery and had a clot. So this is a good segue into reminding you go and have a scan, ask your GP and say, listen, I want to have a scan to see if they've got any potential serious blockages in arteries, etc. Because when they happen, if they happen too late, you have a stroke, which is a fucking real rude way of waking up to the fact that you've got a medical condition which is really serious.
Yeah,
And I mean, or you can have a heart attack, So
yeah,
the thing about it is, and I really, I'm serious, go and
yep.
have I mean, apart from getting your prostate checked regularly,
Mm,
after because I asked my surgeon when I had this clot taken out of my neck, and that was life threatening, because they thought I'd had a stroke, albeit a mini stroke. But it turns out now, 2 scans later, there's no evidence. The early stuff was evidence of I had all the symptoms. But what I said to the surgeon after the operation to get this thing out, I said, how long ago in my life would this have started? And he said, well, taking into consideration your lifestyle, blah, 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 and he said, probably in your 30s. And that's when these clots start, it's a build up of stuff that the body can't get rid of, and, lack of exercise, bad diet, whatever it might be, the thing. But yeah, so um, I've sort of turned a corner, if you like. I'm re-embracing um, the health aspects of my life, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. Well, emotionally, stroke spiritually, because um, life is finite.
absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely. So much has been happening with Rose Tattoo. You're a busy man because you did a
Mm.
tour of New Zealand, you supported Buck Cherry, and in the last couple of days, it's popped up on my social media feed that you're doing this whiz bang tour with George Farragut and ZZ Top. A lot of dates.
Yes,
That's a bit of
yes.
excitement. That's pretty good.
Yes, it is, and it's 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 exciting for us in a personal sense because our relationship um, with George Thorogood has always been through his band, and they play gigs in Sydney, or they play gigs wherever they play gigs, like right around the country. But when they're not working with George on their nights off, they book gigs for themselves or have books, their gigs booked. and they play in their own right under their name. They've got a separate band name. And so we've gone along a few times and jammed with them and stuff, and or just to watch the band. And but yeah, so there's a nice connection there. But the connection with ZZ Top goes back to the very early '80s when we first were establishing ourselves in out of Britain into Europe. Whereas after a few years, we centered ourselves in Europe as opposed to Britain or UK. And yeah, one of the first major tours we did was with the Top through Europe on their comeback. Well, they called it their comeback. They hadn't played for quite a few years, and we've had a great relationship with them ever since. So we're as close as you can be to a band that you don't see for many years, and live in two entirely different continents. But yeah, we've got quite a warm working relationship, and there's a great amount of respect and mutual respect. Obviously, I think ZZ Top is one of the great rock and roll bands in the sense that they actually do play rock and roll.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a relationship built out of, and very flattered to say, out of mutual admiration and respect. The boys in the band have always acknowledged that Tats are one of their favourite acts to work with.